So here's the battery. If I remember correctly, this is an OEM battery. This. And pop this terminal cover off real quick. Comes off real easy. So it's just a 10mm bolt on this. And as usual, I take the nuts and bolts and put them back together loosely so that I've got it all together for when it goes back in the bike. And it's got the rubber clip here, which is not always cooperative. They can't say it's not snug. Tuck that up underneath so it's out of my way. And the battery just lifts straight out. Again, while you're in here, perfect opportunity to clean the gunk out. Dead bugs, dust, dirt, all that junk collects in here. So I'm going to test fit this battery real fast. This is the first one I've ever messed around with. Make sure my strap is pretty on there. It's hard to get that back on. It's kind of a tight space. You don't want to knock that free. And I've got my negative side on the right hand side of the bike, positive on the left. And it's a tight fit. It doesn't fit great into the battery box, so that's a little bit disappointing right off the bat. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, how far in I want to push that thing. What I might do is use that insulation to build the bottom of that battery up. Let's free this guy up. Despite my best efforts, the strap came undone anyway. There we go, got it. And so, yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is build the bottom of this up with the foam and then mount the battery in there. The box holds it pretty well. It is a little too tight. It's not quite a perfect fit in there. Also, there's gonna be some challenges getting the leads to attach to this. The long leads aren't going to be a problem, but the short battery leads will be interesting. So that might take a little bit of creative twisting or bending or something. All right, so I clean off my hands. I'm going to measure this out. Looks like I'm going to need about just a little bit over 3/4 of an inch of insulation on the bottom side of this. And just a hair under 3/4 of an inch on each side. Here goes our test fit. That fits right in there. It's going to work out just fine. Nice and level. And we got a little bit of squish on one side, but that's all right. That foam will hold that, keep it from moving around in there. Get my battery holder in there. I'm gonna lock it down and make sure I got enough tension on that as well. And I really do not. So, I think what I'm going to do, I'm comfortable with where that's sitting. I'm going to add some foam on the top of this. I don't think I'm going to put it across the whole thing. I've got a couple pieces. I'm just going to put them in underneath the strap to keep that assembly tighter than it is. So I've got a couple of 3/4 inch blocks. I think I'm going to use the larger one, even though it looks a little uglier. Give it a little more beef to grab onto. And that should be fine, and I should have enough space and squish in there if that's touching the tank at all, which I don't think it will. We've got enough squish in there to give a little breathing room. All right, so once again, sticky side down. I only kind of wish it wasn't going to cover up the positive, but obviously that one's negative, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that on there. That fits right nice and even across the top of the battery. And we're going to batten that down. That's not going anywhere. It's able to seat it in a little bit better. That's nice and tight. No wiggle. And you know what? Maybe 10 pounds lighter than the last battery, maybe a little more. Not too bad. All right, to hook this up, I'm going to use a couple of brackets that came with the Shorai battery. The only way I can really see to do this is either bend the crap out of these things or use one of these brackets. So I'm going to give these brackets a try real quick, see if I can make these work. So basically they're just an L bracket. There is a recessed screw machine bolt that goes into this eye right there. One thing I'm missing is some anti-corrosion spray. I'm going to have to pick some up at the store. I'm completely out of it. Thought I had some, but that's a good idea to put on there before doing this. I'm just going to finish the assembly so I can get this video done. The battery also comes with new nuts and washers for this. I can set the ground up first here. Don't forget your little black ground cable. It's hiding in there. I don't like how that's routed particularly. Out of the way of everything. Rethinking my routing here. So this is not mating up well. This is a 90 degree, that's a 90 degree, and I'm coming in at an oddball angle. So I'm going to cut a little bit of this foam away and try and route this in a different manner. So basically what I've done here is just opened up a channel in the foam to run that cable up. I'll tell you what, that glue, once it's stuck, is pretty tough. So what I've got is I've got a padded channel now. I left a little bit of foam around there. I don't want that cable bumping up against any metal. So I'm going to run that cable up through the foam, and into the battery box to the terminal there for me to connect it. Like I said, with confidence. Alright, so that lined everything up the way it needs to be. I can get that locked down. And I've got some padding in between the cable and the battery box there, so the cable's not rubbing up against the battery box. It's got a little bit of foam in between it to keep it safe. Now for the other side, figure this one out. This side looks like it's going to cooperate a little better. This is not my doing, but this appears that it probably was connected to something in here at some point in time. It was loose when I found it, so I'm going to leave it that way. I'm going to go ahead and run those in that way. So now I've got a positive leads, negative leads connected up to the battery. Tuck all that stuff in the way it was before when I found it. And we got the Shorai battery installed now. I'm gonna go ahead and flip the key, see if we got electrical. And we do. Time to put her back together again.